The click that would eliminate automotive's deadliest ritual echoed through the Cadillac factory on February 17, 1912. Charles Kettering, Delco's brilliant engineer, pressed a small button on the dashboard of the prototype Cadillac Model 30, and the engine roared to life without anyone risking their life with a dangerous hand crank. "Gentlemen, we've just made the automobile safe for everyone," Kettering announced to the assembled Cadillac executives as the electric starter motor effortlessly turned over the engine with mechanical precision that no human arm could match. No more broken bones, no more deaths from kickback, no more excluding half the population because they lack the strength to crank start an engine. Kettering's electric starting system represented the first successful attempt to eliminate hand cranking, the dangerous and exhausting ritual that had killed and injured thousands of drivers since the automobile's invention. For the first time in automotive history, anyone could start a car safely with the simple push of a button. The engineering achievement was revolutionary. Kettering had created a powerful electric motor that could reliably start internal combustion engines under all conditions, while developing the electrical and mechanical systems necessary to make push-button starting practical and affordable for mass production. What started as a solution to prevent more cranking deaths would become the innovation that finally made automobiles truly accessible to women, elderly drivers, and anyone who lacked the physical strength and technical knowledge required for safe hand cranking. If you love discovering the untold stories behind automotive history's most incredible innovations, please like this video and subscribe to the Car Chronicles. 1885 to 1911, the hand-cranking death trap. From the automobile's invention until 1912, every car required hand cranking to start the engine. This seemingly simple process was actually extremely dangerous, requiring precise timing, significant physical strength, and constant awareness of the engine's compression cycle to avoid potentially fatal accidents. Hand cranking worked by manually rotating the engine's crankshaft until combustion began and the engine became self-sustaining. The process required inserting a heavy iron crank into the front of the engine, then using full body strength to spin the crankshaft fast enough to create compression and ignition. The dangers were numerous and severe. If the engine backfired during cranking, the crank handle could reverse direction instantly with tremendous force, breaking arms, wrists, or shoulders of anyone holding it. Many drivers were knocked unconscious by violent kickbacks, and some were killed when the reversing crank struck their heads. Hand cranking was genuinely dangerous work that required strength, timing, and luck, recalled automotive historian James Flink. Even experienced mechanics were regularly injured by cranking accidents, and inexperienced drivers faced serious risks every time they needed to start their cars. The physical demands excluded many potential drivers from automobile ownership. Women, elderly people, and anyone lacking upper body strength often couldn't generate enough force to crank start engines reliably. Cold weather made cranking even more difficult, requiring additional force to turn over stiff, cold engines. Technical knowledge was also essential. Drivers had to understand engine timing, choke adjustments, and compression cycles to crank safely and effectively. Improper technique could result in injury, even if the engine started successfully. These limitations meant that automobiles remained primarily the domain of young, strong, mechanically inclined men who could handle the physical and technical challenges of hand cranking. The automobile's potential for universal transportation remained unrealized because of starting system barriers. 1908 to 1910, the fatal accident. The event that directly inspired electric starter development occurred in 1908 when Byron Carter, founder of the Cartercar company, stopped to help a stranded motorist whose Cadillac had stalled. While attempting to hand-crank the engine, Carter was struck by the reversing crank handle when the engine backfired. Carter suffered a broken arm and jaw from the cranking accident, and complications from his injuries led to his death several weeks later. His death shocked the automotive industry and demonstrated that even experienced automotive professionals weren't safe from cranking dangers. Henry Leland, founder of Cadillac, was deeply affected by Carter's death and committed to finding a solution that would eliminate hand-cranking dangers entirely. Leland understood that the automobile could never achieve its full potential as universal transportation, while starting remained dangerous and physically demanding. Byron Carter's death was a tragedy that highlighted the fundamental problem with hand-cranking, Leland later recalled. We needed to find a way to start engines that didn't require risking life and limb every time someone wanted to drive. Leland approached several inventors and engineering firms about developing an alternative starting system. Most experts considered reliable electric starting impossible with available battery and motor technology. But Leland was determined to find a solution. The breakthrough came when Leland contacted Charles Kettering, a brilliant inventor who had founded Delco, Dayton Engineering Laboratories Company, and was experimenting with electrical systems for various industrial applications. 1910 to 1911, Kettering's Engineering Challenge. Charles Kettering accepted Leland's challenge to develop a practical electric starting system, but the engineering obstacles were enormous. No electric motor existed that could reliably start automobile engines while remaining small and light enough for automotive installation. The fundamental problem was power requirements. Starting an internal combustion engine required tremendous torque to overcome compression and turn over heavy mechanical components, especially in cold weather when oil was thick and parts were stiff. Existing electric motors were either too weak to start engines reliably or too large and heavy for automotive applications. Battery technology was also primitive, providing limited electrical storage that might not sustain the power requirements for reliable starting. Kettering's breakthrough came when he realized that starting motors only needed to operate for a few seconds at a time, allowing them to be designed for maximum short-term power rather than continuous operation. This insight enabled the development of compact, powerful motors that could deliver enormous starting torque. Kettering understood that automotive starting was a different engineering problem than industrial motor applications, explained automotive engineer Owen Nacker. He designed specifically for the brief, high-power requirements of engine starting rather than trying to adapt existing motor designs. The electrical system also required innovation. Kettering developed improved battery designs, charging systems, and control circuits that could reliably deliver starting power while maintaining electrical system functionality for ignition and lighting. Safety was paramount in Kettering's design. The electric starter had to be completely reliable to avoid stranding drivers, while electrical systems had to be protected from the water, vibration, and temperature extremes of automotive operation. February 17, 1912. The breakthrough demonstration. Kettering's electric starting system made its public debut on February 17, 1912. When the first production Cadillac Model 30, equipped with electric starting, was demonstrated for industry officials and automotive journalists. The demonstration was dramatic in its simplicity. A female secretary was invited to start the engine by pressing a small button on the dashboard. The starter motor engaged smoothly, turned over the engine effortlessly, and the car started immediately without any physical effort or technical knowledge required. The ease and reliability of electric starting was immediately obvious to everyone present, recalled automotive journalist Herbert Chase. What had been a dangerous, exhausting ritual requiring strength and skill became as simple as pressing a doorbell button. Cadillac's marketing emphasized the safety and accessibility benefits of electric starting. Advertisements featured women and elderly drivers starting cars effortlessly, highlighting how the innovation expanded automobile ownership beyond the traditional demographic of young, strong men. The electric starting system was standard equipment on all 1912 Cadillac models, not an expensive option. Leland understood that safety innovations needed to be universal rather than luxury features available only to wealthy buyers. Customer response was overwhelmingly positive. Cadillac dealers reported immediate interest from women and older customers who had previously considered automobiles too dangerous or difficult to operate. Electric starting removed the last major barrier preventing these groups from becoming drivers. 1913 to 1920. Industry Revolution. The success of Cadillac's electric starting forced every automobile manufacturer to develop their own electric starting systems, or risk losing customers to Cadillac. The innovation created immediate competitive pressure that accelerated industry-wide adoption. General Motors, which owned Cadillac, offered electric starting across their entire product line by 1914. Ford initially resisted, believing that hand cranking was adequate for their Model T customers, but eventually adopted electric starting in 1919 when customer demand became overwhelming. Other manufacturers scrambled to develop electric starting systems. Some licensed Kettering's Delco technology, while others developed their own designs. By 1920, virtually every new automobile sold in America included electric starting as standard equipment. The social impact was profound and immediate. Women became automobile buyers and drivers in unprecedented numbers, no longer excluded by the physical demands of hand cranking. Elderly drivers could continue operating vehicles longer, and families could confidently purchase automobiles knowing that all family members could safely start and drive them. Electric starting democratized automobile ownership in ways that no other innovation had achieved, observed automotive sociologist Ruth Schwartz Cowan. It removed the last major barrier preventing universal automobile adoption and fundamentally changed who could be a driver. The technology also influenced automotive design and engineering. Electric starters required improved electrical systems, better batteries, and more sophisticated wiring, accelerating the development of electrical components that would enable future innovations like electric lights, radios, and electronic engine controls. The innovation's broader impact. Kettering's electric starter represented more than just a convenience improvement. It was a fundamental safety innovation that eliminated one of early motoring's greatest dangers. The technology probably prevented thousands of injuries and deaths that would have occurred from continued hand cranking. The economic impact was enormous. By making automobiles accessible to women and elderly drivers, electric starting roughly doubled the potential automobile market. This expanded market supported the growth of automobile manufacturing, dealer networks, and the entire automotive support industry. Electric starting also enabled the development of larger, more powerful engines that would have been impossible to hand crank safely. The innovation freed engine designers from the constraint of manual starting requirements, leading to more sophisticated and powerful automotive power plants. From a technological perspective, electric starting established the foundation for modern automotive electrical systems. The starter motors, batteries, and charging systems developed by Kettering became the basis for increasingly sophisticated electrical and electronic automotive systems. Contemporary automotive technology traces its lineage directly to Kettering's innovations. Modern push-button starting, remote starting, and hybrid electric systems all build on the electrical system architecture that Kettering pioneered for the 1912 Cadillac. The legacy and modern relevance. Charles Kettering's invention of the electric starter represents one of automotive history's most important safety and accessibility innovations. By eliminating the dangerous ritual of hand cranking, electric starting made automobiles truly safe and accessible for universal ownership. The technology established important precedents for automotive safety design that continue to guide modern vehicle development. Kettering proved that safety innovations could be economically viable when implemented as standard equipment rather than expensive options. The social impact of electric starting extends far beyond automotive technology. The innovation enabled women's automotive independence, supported the development of suburban communities, and contributed to fundamental changes in American social and economic patterns. Modern automotive safety systems like airbags, electronic stability control, and collision avoidance technology follow the same principle that guided Kettering's electric starter. Use technology to eliminate or reduce dangers that human capabilities cannot adequately address. The electric starting story also demonstrates how individual tragedies can inspire innovations that benefit millions of people. Byron Carter's death motivated the development of technology that prevented countless similar accidents and expanded automotive accessibility for generations. Contemporary discussions about electric vehicles and automotive electrification often overlook the historical significance of the electric starter as the first successful integration of electric power into automotive propulsion systems. Kettering's work established many of the electrical system principles that guide modern automotive electrification. Today, starting an automobile is so simple and reliable that most drivers never consider the engineering achievement that Kettering's innovation represents. The technology that once seemed impossible has become so fundamental that it's invisible to users who simply expect cars to start at the press of a button. If this story moved you, subscribe to the Car Chronicles and hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to know that the greatest automotive innovations are often the ones that eliminate dangers we've forgotten ever existed, and that accessibility improvements benefit everyone, not just their intended users. What's your most memorable car starting experience? Let us know in the comments how reliable starting has influenced your automotive confidence and independence.